Sir Desmond Swain.
What do we know about the position of defined benefit schemes at the end of September, what state they were in? I mean, am I right in thinking that actually most of them ended up better funded, better able to pay the benefits, which after all is what they're for? Don't all speak at once.
There are many schemes which are genuinely better off, but they are characterised by the fact that they were not doing LDI. They are using traditional bond and equity allocations, the sort of thing that John has done in the past, and I have myself.
Dr. Keating, can I just interrupt you? The BT example you've given, isn't that a case of a fund whose liabilities have fallen by more than its value has fallen? And therefore, as Sir Desmond said, is actually better off in funding terms?
I know all about the BT numbers, if I can answer that question. From March 2022 to September 22, the value of the liabilities fell by about 25%. The value of the assets also fell by about 25%. But end to end, the companies that small number of companies, a handful of companies that I work with, are they better off, are they worse off? They're no worse off, and they're actually, in some cases, they're better off.
Professor Clacher.
Sorry, thank you. So this is where there's a tension, not just between what I'm about to say and what Mr. Ralfe has just said, but a tension more generally with, I think, the way in which this is discussed. So everything that Mr. Ralfe has said is correct, but there is a difference from my perspective, which is the schemes have got less assets. So there are fewer assets today to pay out pensions, because what we're not comparing is the liabilities as they evolve through time, which is a different thing to the present value of those liabilities, the discounted value of them. So on that discounted present value basis, everything that Mr. Ralfe said is correct. However, if you look at just the asset side, based upon the calculations that myself and Con have done, we estimate that roughly £500 billion is probably missing somewhere. And this isn't a paper loss, this is a real loss, because pension funds were selling assets to meet their collateral calls. When you sell those assets, you get cash. That cash then goes to the person that you've got to pay to meet that call. And so what you've actually then seen is a significant reduction in the overall pot of assets that are available to pension funds to pay pensions in the fullness of time. And we do not know how that winds out, sort of works out into the future. So there are two different things. One is the present value of the liabilities and the value of the assets held today, and how those meet or don't meet, versus the amount of assets the pension fund has at its disposal to pay pensions as they fall due over a very long time period. And that number is not the same thing.
There are also some very severe technical criticisms